So let's continue or ending off. I mean continue. Okay. Karen sits on the trunk of the Jeep, leg hanging out over the edge, dangling towards the ground, but further away than usual due to the tilt. Meanwhile, he fidgets with his old acoustic guitar that has been smashed into the Jeep for at least a year, tuning it slowly. He even he hasn't even remembered it was there even until they folded down the seats for a place to try to sleep. He he lastly played it at Ian's parents' house because they wanted to hear him perform, and he just left it there in his Jeep afterwards. He hasn't he hasn't had the reason to play it since. The rest of the night, or early morning, really, hasn't been terrible. Dave was easily comfortable. The hard surface is not that different from the side of the mattress, which was rocking hard compared to Cameron's such squasher form. He just tossed it turning until Dave finally put him in the lay his head on the bare stomach and soft warm surface soft enough to lull Cameron into a dozing snare of conscience while Dave snores loudly. Lyle gotten used to the snoring after all these years, and now found it comforting rather than annoying. It was a good night, considered the circumstances. Day has been unsure about sleeping in the tilted jeep for a Dave has been unsure about sleeping in the tilted jeep at all because it gives him a bad feeling. He also have a bad feeling about Cameron's going back to the motel with him, so he left him here alone while the bear gathered up the rest of the stuff. 5 hours passed since Artie texted Davon. The bear had been getting antsy about that as well. They had been of an argument of Cameron only agreeing to stay behind when Dave promised to not go back for the forest to text Artie again. Now Karen sits there mopping and feeling the Lops relationship returning. I suck at guitar. Same. He mumbled to himself quietly out of habit, knowing people didn't like hearing it since he was good enough, which has been his goal. All of the senior song idols play guitar, and he wanted to be just like them. He focused himself to learn how to become good enough, with all the awkward fingerings and consistent tuning, and the pain of holding down steel strings for his finger pads, even after he built up Colossus or something. That's how he described guitar in general. Pain. I do also agree. He preferred piano. Yep, same too. I prefer piano. He preferred piano. And that way, what he used to write all of his songs. Oh, he preferred piano. And that's what he used to write all of his music. But the domestically sad men in the 90s Northwest idol music scene didn't play piano. They played guitar, because they were also rugged and tough modeled by the logging town they're originally from. It turns out that one's image is just as important in indie as it is in pop, despite the former trying to convince itself it isn't. So Cameron has tried to comfort to that. So Cameron had tried to comfort to that, and in the end, it hasn't mattered. For hours and hours, deciding to learn the instrument though, High school and college now felt wasted. Still, the feeling of the instrument is familiar in his paws. Even his fingers are already getting sore. He tried to think of one of his less embarrassing songs, one of the ones where he wasn't just wearing the influence of cloud dreamy northwest sights on his sleeves, even though there was, even though there were, he sworn. He tried and failed to dis he failed he tried and failed to displace their poetry and ultimately lyricism. Instead, he found himself slipping back again and again to the style of his own generation. All his idols of the 90s wrote mute lyrics that forced the listener to develop into something complex, to find the meaning of the metaphors and synonyms. Seniors, songwriters born in the 90s, like himself, presents their lyrics in a more literal, honest way that often describe a specific situation which seems nothing hidden. To Cameron, it's to Cameron, it's two sides of the same coin. Instead of discovering meaning to complexity, it's about discovering complexity and simplicity. He sighs, deciding it's tuned well enough. Ooh, that's a, I like that guitar sound really good, guys. He glanced up, making sure Dave isn't holding back before playing. He's badly out of practice, but he started to slowly warm up. Karen sings quietly, almost under his breath. This particular song got the attention of the independent label on the West Coast after one of their scouts heard it on college radio station. They signed him. They signed him in his journey. They signed him in his junior year of college. Looking back towards, Looking back, it was the high point of his life. Dave had celebrities in Eastern happily telling him that he made more money than himself ever would. But what Cameron didn't realize was that even after being signed, he could still be dropped without realizing any of his music, and after what he was probably the lowest point of his life, they didn't just that. Drop over text message with the agent saying that demons he made in studio weren't up to their quality standards. That hurts a lot because he knew it was true. He was nervous the entire time, and his output wasn't even close to what he was capable of. Though he tried to comfort himself with the idea of most musician goes it alone these days, his own posting on the internet barely got more than a few dozen listens. Then he realized that he was it in for the wrong reason. His peers just like playing music, throwing stuff out there and either whether anyone hear it or not. Karen needs an audience to stay motivated, to be famous, so in a way, I effing deserve it. That's at least Davon never brought it up. Karen stopped playing, having the brownish fur out of his corner of his eye. He thinks that Davon is immediately feels a face fresh, freezing, and just sitting there. This is why he didn't play or sing in a serious way these days. Now it just feels like showing off the skills that he was never really skilled at in the first place. But after a while, he doesn't hear anything. No voice, no footstep, and bidding through his embarrassment. Cam looks up on the road, where he seems to be certain. that his boyfriend has been watching him. Dave? The silence is heavily and thick. It's a weird feeling if everything went real quiet. Karen stares up in em- Karen stares up the empty road, the feeling of unease growing until he finally shoved the guitar to the side and pulls out his phone, tapping on it mindlessly, aiming out to distract himself. Nope, 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 nope. Not doing this again. Not right now. And even though the road remains empty, and even though the sun shines brightly above, illuminating everything around him, the feeling of what is becoming a very familiar dread continues to grow. Wait, what? Then the light shines down on everything, changes shifted to a more golden glow. What the hell is going on? Yeah, what is going on? Karen has a few bad trips in the past, shrooms being the worst that was gave him the first panic attack. In a strange way, this feeling was similar. Oh my, battery is about to end. In a strange way, that feeling's very similar. Please, not now. I can't control. And saying not now. N- uh, Shoot! That voice. Well, that feeling, that instant made all the fur on the back of his neck stands up. Cameron's starting to walk up on the road, towards Echo, just under a mile away. Dave, come back, please. Panic creeps up his neck, like he's drowning. Until the last night, he hasn't had a panic attack over 2 years. Now it's like his brain is relearning the spring process of gasping for air that's readily available but still feeling out of reach. The feeling of urge continue trying to remember the place of Davon's steady breaths. Hasn't he wanted to reject the idea that he needs Dave to face his fears? Does he knows how to handle this? How to do it safely? Karen knows that Karen knows Karen also knows that running to Dave will only make things worse for his boyfriend. He didn't want to stress him even more. The coyote stops, then turns around slowly. Just like that, feeling of panic and terror slowly fade away to be replaced by the feeling of purpose. Something solid, something resonate in a existent, something that already happened. Nothing can be done to change it. The feeling of acceptance. Ooh, hold on. Wow, look at this guys. Him walking. Wow. Um, is this creepy music, yo? Karen walks slowly to move more measured pace, hearing someone just outside his view. Another place? No, in the same exact place, just in a different time. Karen knows what's happening, and he questions what he's about to do. About with his new feeling of calm assurance, the coyote decides to let it happen. Dave didn't want him. Excuse me. Dave didn't want him to do this because he had a change of heart, but so has Cameron, and this is his choice to make. So he let it happen. And his sense, this person, a girl, a feline, walking just like him, years and years ago. Hey, yo? Yo, who's this? Who's this mysterious girl? She tries to keep her slobs quiet, walking along the road by the lake. She breaks down forward to this for 2 months. She saves up money from buying babysitting jobs to buy her own dress, her own fake jewelries, and make and her makeup. Her father has found a mess. Her father had found the makeup a week ago and threw it away, telling her only bad things happen to girls who wear makeup. Even then, she still has to dance to look forward to. But now James, her ex from last year, had ruined it. He shown up drunk, proposed to her, and then calls out her new boyfriend, whom she only needs seeing for a month now, until he left. She's at least now she's glad that she doesn't have the makeup to. Oh my god, let me read that. At least now, at least now she glad she doesn't have the makeup on with how wet her eyes are. This has been the last dance of her at Echo High, and she's worried about going to graduate with no boyfriend at all, and with no money to go anywhere. Lost in her thoughts, she noticed fast, pounding footsteps only seconds before it happened. Oh my goodness. Before it happens. She sees James as it happens. She realizes what's happening at the last moment. Knowing him, this actually something she expected. In this moment, she decided to make this is for the best. Cameron. Oh, lost in vision. Cameron feels himself recoiling from something touching him. Cameron lost his balance, wimbling his arms dramatically and his he has a split second to recognize Davon. Bear has his paw out, like he was resting it on the coyote's arm. The look in shock that mirrors on the boyfriend's face before he goes over the edge and straight into the lake. Cameron! Oh, dang. And, well, and that's where I'm gonna left it off, guys. So you had to figure out the next video. Um, I think I'm very close to catch up to my pre-recorded videos. I'm because this is future me recording for my. I didn't record this beginning intro part, so I'm just recording for this. So I don't know if I really wanted to continue recording, like continue on with me, like recording on. But like I already know what happened though. Or should I? Yeah. Well, that's you guys have to find that out later. Let's go to the intro. I'll save this here. And yep, that's pretty much. So, what happened to Cameron? And what happened to Davon? I mean, you probably already know what happened, but if it's your first time here, I don't know, man. You have to find out later. And yeah. Well, it was pretty good to go voice back again. It's been a while. Get it? Since last year. I mean, of course, it's probably not last year exactly. But yes, this should be probably it. My battery's just gonna die. And yeah. So that's all, everybody, for Arches for right now. Make sure to like and subscribe for more parts. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.